Sunday. It is needle felting day. And we should be live. Alright, so today is an exciting day. We are starting the last tutorial of season 13, or season 3, episode 13, Peaceful Waters. We made it, you guys. We're on the last one of this season. You'll have to let me know if you want to see other seasons. We can always look into doing those later. But yeah, this has been an interesting adventure. We've learned some things. For anyone that wants to follow the tutorial in full with no interruptions and volume on it, the link is pinned in the chat. And yeah, so we're gonna get started here and figure some stuff out. We did our sketch on Monday. Oh, I didn't put a picture of the sketch up. Shit. Alright, so that's our sketch. Really rough sketch of it. This one isn't a traditional Bob one. Steve is painting this one while Bob is reading questions that viewers have sent in on how things should be done. Like, Bob says it every session, so I'm really confused. But I guess it's people that were looking for a little more slowed down clarification on how you do the thing. So, that's Steve's demonstrating the answers to the questions that people were asking. Do I have to get him? I swear I just took him.
Whoa, you should swim.
He wants grass.
You're not having grass time right now. Go.
Like, it's been maybe a half hour, if that. I had to replace the rug under my desk last night, so I don't roll around as easily on this one, which is sort of a good thing. I think I'm going to give us a little more room at the top than the bottom. So I'm using a 9x12 piece of felt, but I'm going to trace around the 8x10 backing, or the cardboard backing of an 8x10 picture frame to give us our work surface, because we're not going to do edge to edge on the 9x12. It helps to have, I've found, we did go to the very edge, of our felt when I was using the other felt when we first started. And as I've been doing this, I have come to realize it's a lot better to leave yourself a border that you can just trim away. It's just easier to handle, and then you don't have to worry about trying to get the very edge and having it look right and all that. And I just taped up the edges on this because it was getting a little beat up. Okay. Now, I'm going to sketch in our shapes like I did on our reference sketch, just to kind of get our placement on things and stuff. Because I just find that the easier way to go. Sorry, it's a real bad allergy day. I had some tea earlier and I'm like, oh, that'll help. No. It hasn't really. Okay, so I think we decided that this was kind of halfway. So if this is 8, so we're looking for 4-ish. Four-ish would be about here, right? Approximately. So that's a little far down, I think. So I'm gonna go a little bit above that. Well, I mean, yeah. So it's gonna be a little bit messy of our line work here. So I can try to get some guidelines in here. Just because I'm putting them down doesn't mean we're gonna follow them. Some of these are more for reference than anything. Okay, so we've got kind of a line in for the bottom of our mountains, basically. And then we've got this triangle down here. So I'm gonna kind of put another line right here. Okay, so this guy we're gonna kind of come in this way. That might have been over a little too far, but okay. So we got that guy there. We've got kind of a corner over here. Excuse me, with some little bumpy doos from some shrubs hanging out there. So we don't have a whole lot of space between these two. A little bit. So let's see. We've kind of got a range of trees. That was a very loud vehicle, Jesus. This kind of comes down that way. And we sort of have an itchy ear. We sort of have another hill line. So there's trees in here. This is the base of our mountain. Maybe like here would be like the first set of trees, I think. Because we've got like two different colored tree guys in here. And then we've got the other tree line. My pen and this felt are not cooperating. Like I keep pulling at the fibers. So then this is going to come down this way. Now these like have a little bit more of a up and down feel to them. In Bob's painting, we're not gonna make, or Steve's painting really, we're not gonna like quite have them that scallopy, but you know, you get the idea. Alright, and now we're gonna figure out our mountain guys. So kind of have one sloped into there. This is like our main front and center guy. How far down from the top do we want to be? So like no taller than that, I suppose. So this guy's gonna take him up just a little bit more. And we're gonna bring him down. The fibers are going this way, so that's why I keep pulling them. When I'm going this way, I'm going against them. Alright, so we can slope you down kind of that way. Have a face there. Alright, so then we've got a guy over here. And we can bring him down this way. And bring him in there like that. And then we've We've got another little guy just kind of chilling back here. We don't really see that much of him. Okay. That's kind of the gist of what we're looking for here, for the most part. It's kind of our basic shapes. You don't have to sketch yours out if you're following along. I just do that so I don't lose my place, so I don't get carried away with scaling and put stuff, like stretch stuff out, because I have a tendency to go too big for my work surface sometimes. So I need the reminders of where I'm at. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do here. This may have helped us on the last one. The last one we did, we had some thicker felt that we were using. I don't have any more of that on hand. And I wanted to see if it was really the tape or the thicker felt that helped us the most. It could have been a combination of the two, and if it was, that's great. Then I will go and pick up some more of the thicker felt. But for right now, this is what we've got to work with. Now, last time I didn't put any on the bottom edge, and I am going to on this one. I think it helped a bit more. And I still have our price sticker on the back. Let's get that off of there. It was 25 cents, you know, just your basic craft felt. This one is nothing fancy. Even so, the thicker one I think was still under $1. I think it was 63 cents. It's pretty straight. It's kind of on our line, kind of. Alright, so I'm gonna wrap this around. Alright, so I'm coming off the edge of our felt there a little bit. I wasn't right on the line, but I was right next to it. That should be good enough to help us keep our sides a little bit more in check. Because when I do this, I have a tendency to get all sorts of wonky on our edges, and it drives me crazy when it happens. And then I start obsessing over it. And I get super annoying because I start obsessing over it. No. Are you not straight there? Okay. Like, I know my tape's not going to be perfectly straight, but I would like to at least get it somewhat straight on our sketch line. I mean, we also sketched onto a craft felt. Like, the lines aren't going to be the straightest to begin with, but we try to get them as straight as we can. And the fact that we overlapped a bit on the other side tells me that we didn't have our template that we traced quite centered. But that won't matter so much when we get further. Our mat's still holding up. It's starting to dome a little bit in the middle. That I'm a little meh about. Not real happy about that, but we've definitely put it through its paces, and it is still usable, so it's not like the other one that we fought with for a long time that was just getting worse and worse and worse. I'm sure we'll have to replace this one at some point. I just don't know if we're going to have to replace it just yet. Okay. Put my tape back. Marvin, you guard the tape. I don't think we're going to need the scissors today, but just in case, we've got them at the ready. So we have our design basically sketched out. So Bob doesn't sketch anything out. But with paint, you know, you don't really need to necessarily with how he does things. I'm actually going to start this way so that bit isn't up into everything. Alright, let me see. I think I might have to move the camera a little bit. So the one side of the screen is a little more yellow than the other. And I do apologize for that, but the only other light I had was more of a yellow light, which kind of goes starkly against the white blue LEDs, so we'll have to deal with that this yellowy lamp in the corner for now. I don't know if I can, that might be a little better. If I can, I can't fix that right away. We won't be able to replace the lamp that kept buzzing until like probably November. We'll see. If we can before then, great, but I don't expect us to. Okay, so we're gonna hit play on the tutorial. Now, I do have the tutorial muted. It does have closed caption on. It's probably too small to read, though. But we're just gonna kind of see what sort of adventure Bob and Steve take us on. So apparently the first question here was, what do you mean by crisscross strokes to make the sky? So he's demonstrating that. Although when Bob's going full speed, I've seen him not do the crisscross strokes sometimes. And then they asked about, well, how do you make the water? Do you use crisscross strokes for that? And I think they must have practiced this to a degree, because when they were first getting going, Steve was already walking up and was about to start. Like, he was about to put his brush in the color. So I think he already knew what they were going to be doing. And then they're just gonna blend everything out. Okay. Alright, so I guess we can let him blend the water. We're not going to be putting the water in anytime soon. But alright, so we'll just leave it there. So Steve put his sky in straight across. If you want to do that, that's fine. But do understand that you're going to be putting your mountains in over top of it. You can still do that. Now, I might bring my sky in a little bit on the edge of our mountains, or I might take our mountains a little bit over into the sky, just so it's not quite so like so we don't quite have like a weird seam. Now I believe we decided on cornflower blue for our sky when we were working on our sketch, and I did get this bag topped off, so that was good. Don't know, that looked like a combination of colors in that fuzz. We'll just move that along. Okay. So I'm going to put just a drop of water on my finger just to help get our fluff to cooperate here. And I do have us sideways at the moment, and I sort of apologize for that. And only sort of because I need to see what I'm doing. So we're just going to have to be sideways for a little bit. And I'm going to put this in right on our edge line here. I don't want to go into the tape too much. You'll probably hear when I hit the tape because it has a different sound. If that's coming through. It's a different pitch to it. And like, we definitely don't want to put the fiber through the tape. We don't really need that. Tape is just there more or less to keep me from going too far over the boundary. And we'll see if our experiment works on this one as well. Like I said, it might have been more just that it was the thicker felt plus the tape. We'll see. It was my first time using that thicker felt. I hadn't seen it before. So I'm not sure if it was new or if I just didn't see it previously. So you can see what I mean when you're stabbing through, it's pulling the fibers into your location, because look at this happening. That is from us stabbing in along this area. It's gonna happen, don't freak out. It's okay. It's part of it. That is the outside edge, so it's alright. This is where our dowel rod is gonna go that we're gonna use to hang this guy. Alright, so gently gonna release it from the pad. You don't have to brush the back down. I just do sometimes out of habit. I find it helps the front lay a little bit flatter sometimes, especially when I start getting multiple layers into a specific area. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Do I want to go straight across, or do I want to... No, I tend to overlap a little bit between my bits of color that I'm dropping in. I find it makes things look a little more put together. We don't have any weird gaps between the colors that way, or the chunks of fluff that I'm putting down, because I work strangely. Some people just grab a chunk of fluff and lay it down, and that's fine. I like making the little fluffy snakes. I don't know why, but I do. It makes me happy, so that's how I do it. Now, if you think you've got a thin spot where you can see your canvas color, your base work surface color shining through, just grab some more fluff and tap it in over it. I'm gonna keep pulling that up off of the mat though. You don't want to go too long without doing so, because then you're going to have a heck of a time getting it to release up off of your mat. How do you know this? I speak from experience. From trial and error. Many errors. It's something I didn't hear many people talk about when I first started doing this, and it might have been because either they didn't know, or the one person in particular was using a foam mat, and I think they ended up switching to sheets of house insulation that they just cut down to fit their work surface or their project size. But my ears can't take the sound of the foam, the hard foam, or even the softer foam mats. Well, I mean, I would probably be able to take the softer foam, but the softer foam I think is going to break down real quick. I mean, you are stabbing into relatively the same areas repeatedly, so these fabric mats felt like they had a little bit more reusability to them, or at least a longer lifespan. So that's what I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to add a little bit more to that corner there. So we did pick up a bit of our pen. So we'll just kind of go with that. Ko-fi-bot's here. Ko-fi-bot's been here, it seems. Well, welcome anyway, Ko-fi-bot. Stream Elements joined us today. It's nice to see that the bots have assembled, I guess. So does anybody know if the whole kerfluffle with Cloud Strike is done? Like, I would imagine that would have had to have been fixed at some point that day. I mean, flights were getting going again later that same day. It was just taking a while. You know what? I'll get a smaller piece here. was gonna run it down the side, but then I was like, oh, then it's gonna be a bit more visible, at least in this upper corner here. Well, the top edge we don't have to worry about because we're gonna have our dowel rod in there. And if a little bit of the pen shines through there, not a huge deal. Not really. That's fine. Now the side edge, if the pen gets a little too obnoxious, we can trim that part of the edge off. Sorry, an internal thought happened and kind of derailed the verbal thought that was happening. But yeah, we should be able to just trim that little bit of the edgy off. Okay. So I'm just gonna get that bit of tail tucked into there. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. I think you can. Okay. So the beginning of a new project is exciting, but it also can be a little slow because you're just starting to get going here, like just getting your bones in place. So we didn't have as much fluff come through the back side of the other one. We had a little bit, but it wasn't as long, probably because the other felt was a little bit thicker. You don't have to use the water. I use that just to kind of help pull our little flyaways keep them in check, and it also gives my hands a little bit of friction so that I can roll the fluff in my hands. So if you're trying to make a shape with your fluff before you attach it, that might be helpful. That may be helpful whether you're doing this or critter creation. So this one, this thickness, thinness of felt, it does get a little bit more bunchy. Well, neat. How can you tell that? I can tell that by seeing how our tape is bunching up on the edge here. And our other one didn't quite do that as much. I mean, it still got a little bunchy in a couple places, but not as much. So I do find that interesting. And we'll see how that affects our edges here as we go. I'm excited. Sort of excited, sort of curious, sort of anxious to see. I dropped water. Like, don't want to waste it. All of the feelings to see how this works out with the edges in the ends. Right? I am fascinated to find that out. So my finger's kind of resting on the edge of the tail here of this piece, or it was, just to make sure that we didn't get a little too carried away, and that the needle didn't start having a little too much fun. Start pulling all of itself, all the fluff in on itself before we were quite ready. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Kind of a gloomy Sunday here. I wanted to get started a little bit sooner, but that was not in the cards today. Had a hard time falling asleep, and then by the time I did fall asleep, like within 20 minutes of me falling asleep, the one doggo came in that usually sleeps with my mom, and I wasn't sure why he was there. I was like, oh, okay, you're here now. And then it thundered so sharply, so suddenly. It jolted me awake, like full stop awake, and I was like, oh shit. And I laid there to listen. It might have rumbled distantly once or twice after that, and then I grabbed my Kindle and I was looking up the weather, just making sure we weren't under any kind of weather advisories, and we weren't at that point, so I was like, okay. This is just a regular ass thunderstorm. I don't need to be too worried about it at the moment. And I laid there for a little while listening. I didn't hear anything else, and I fell back asleep, and then I think later I woke up and heard it thunder again at some point. No idea what time that was. And it definitely sounded like it was pouring buckets for a while, which was good. We needed that. That was a good thing. So I was like, okay, bring on the rain. That's fine. Bring all of that. And it's a little bit cooler today. Okay. So, we do have a little bit of weirdness on that edge, but I think I'll be able to fix it. Figure I can fix it when we get there with the mountain. Okay. So I'll end up bringing the edge of this over just a little bit, and that's okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay. So we've been staying on our edge pretty good. Pretty good. Not like super great, but see how we do. Currently working in smaller bits here. My hands are just not frictiony enough today to make that work. Alright. So I try to overlap a little bit. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, this can be the painstakingly slow part. As we are working on getting these large swaths filled in. So spoiler alert, today will probably be mostly doing mountain work or sky work around our mountains. And we'll see how we go. I've got 3 videos left to go on the edit that I'm working on. Oh, that reminds me. Give me 1 second. I need to do something real quick. Okay. Sorry. Husband asked me to remind him about something, and I don't think I had yet. Wow. This bit of soda is very fizzy. Like, surprisingly so. Okay. Yep, my hands don't want to let this roll. So, that's alright. We'll just have to do it another way. Now, I don't have to overlap the colors, but I tend to just so the new section blends in a little bit better. And it feels like it saves me a little bit of trouble as we go, so I don't get too many weird thin gaps along each section. I don't know, I just found it helps. I just kind of got my finger resting on the tail of our bit of fluff. So it doesn't get too carried away. But it's not like hard enough where it's not letting it grab the fluff, it's just kind of slowing down how much fluff it can grab. Like, you don't want to put so much pressure on it to prevent it from grabbing any. You just want a little bit of light, normal finger weight on there. Okay. So remember earlier when I said it was a bad allergy day? My eyes are all kinds of gunky. Whew. So we've got rain chances for the next couple of days. That's kind of awesome because we need it badly. Okay. Now this guy is just a little bitty bit here, so I'm just gonna flip him over because that piece we just put in there was a little thin. So that will just fill him in there. And we'll go from there. I will say my arm doesn't get as tired as quickly with the thinner felt, but I'm kind of missing that thicker felt already, to be perfectly honest. Alright, let me take a look at this here. I mean, we're a little wonky there already, but not terribly so. I'm sorry I did have us turned sideways there, but I needed to be able to see what the heck I was doing. And where we were, whoop, come back here, and where we were at. So if we trim right on that edge, oh, Momo is demanding to go out. So if you all will excuse me just a minute. It is time for a puppy potty break. I'm going to run an ad. You all should get up and stretch. And I will be right back. Okay. We are back. Sorry about the interruption. But when Pepper has to pee, and we were already kind of staved him off once because we weren't sure if he really had to pee or if he just wanted to be outside because it's not so nice out. And they need an escort because we don't have a fenced in area that we can just turn them loose in. And they don't really like being outside by themselves either. Like Russell had them outside. Finger juice. Russell had them outside on a lead with my mom the other day. He stepped back in to ask me a question real quick. I'm like, where are the dogs? He's like, your mom's out there. I'm like, okay. And then while he was talking to me for a second, we heard them come back up on the porch, and they were a little flummoxed as to why nobody was out there with them. I don't like leaving them unattended because we have some big birds of prey around. Big birds of prey. Big vultures and shit. That would probably, if desperate enough, try to grab one of them. I don't think they would succeed in grabbing Zuzu. But Momo, you never know. He's a bit leggy, but he's pretty light. So we're gonna work on getting our sky in. I will try to remember to get a screenshot of our reference sketch that we did and get that put up on the screen for the next session. Since I forgot to do so. I'm sorry I forgot about that. I was already running a little bit late today, so I didn't want to dick around any more than I necessarily needed to. I was just trying to get done what we needed to get done here. Doesn't really look like a mountain shape there on the back at all. It looks a little bit rounded actually, which is interesting. Wasn't quite expecting that. So yeah, we'll do our sky first. And then we will figure out our clouds, because our clouds are going to kind of sit behind some of our peaks here. They're not really going to be in front of them. At least going by our reference photo. And I kind of go between the reference sketch that we did based off of the final image that Bob or whoever his guest painter happens to be, because he does have a few guest painters over the seasons. And then I will also start the tutorial, and you know, it's like, okay, we already have an idea of what we're gonna look like in the end. Let's go from there and see how things progress. I have got the tiniest little spot there. That is not cooperating as well as I would like it to. So I'm just gonna fill a little bit more fluff in there. And if you've got a stubborn spot, just keep adding some more fluff on top of it. You know, eventually something's gotta fix it, right? So yeah, we kind of go, like, we have our reference sketch that we refer back to. And then we try to follow along with Bob as best as we can. But there are sometimes points at which it wouldn't benefit us to follow in Bob's order, like with Steve here. And Bob does it too, and I think it's just the way that Bob does it, so it's like, oh, well, the color's already on my brush, so I'm just gonna do it this way. And that makes sense when you're painting. Doesn't make so much sense when we're working with fluff, because then we get like bunchiness before bunchy spots. So the mountains are going to be a little bunchy as we do our sky here. That's going to happen. It'll be like a baggy t-shirt sensation or look to it. You'll kind of get the idea as we get the sky put in here. It would not really benefit us to put the water in at the same time that we're putting the sky in, because then down here will be all weird and bunchy, and it just wouldn't. So we're going to skip doing the water right now, and we will circle back to it as we get down to there. It just works out easier in this scenario. Our edge is pretty. I feel like we're drifting out. And we might actually be drifting out already. Maybe. Could just be from where I'm pulling it up. So I think I do prefer that thicker felt, at least for our square pieces. I don't think the thicker felt would work so well for the embroidery hoop ones. We haven't done any of those yet, but they're on my list of ones to do. Okay, so this little section in here is going to be a little messy at the moment. And the back side doesn't matter so much what that looks like, because what matters to us is the front side, the side that we are stabbing into. Alright, so I'm just getting a little bit more fluff together here to work on our corner. Is the camera crooked? I feel like we're slightly crooked. We had to replace the rug under my chair last night because I about had a screaming fit because the rug I've been using, it wouldn't stay taped to the floor, and every time I was rolling over it, the chair feet kept getting tangled on the edge of it, and 4 different times this week I've had to pick the chair up and fight with the rug to get it unbunched from under it, and I almost tripped when I was trying to get up. I'm like, that's it. Walmart was having a back to college sale, so they had like throw rugs and stuff, and I managed to score a rug that's just big enough to fit in the space that I needed. It would have been ideal to be a little bit bigger, but I wasn't paying that much for something to just keep my chair from rolling all over the floor. Our floors aren't even. So when I sit in my desk chair, my chair tries to roll the way the floor is slanted. And that doesn't really work so well. So cardboard doesn't work. It works for like maybe 2 or 3 hours a day at the most, and then it just, nope. So it gets too flat too quick, and it just becomes like the floor, and I just start rolling all over the place again. So we were tilting the desk and trying to get the rug pulled under the feet on the desk to help hold it in place, because it was big enough to do that on this one. And I think it's slightly out of position with the camera. But I don't think there's anything I can do about that. My lines look slanted in the wood grain. I think instead of being like this, I think I'm slightly like this. Case in point that the floor's so slanted that my needle just went running. I think I can adjust the feet on this desk. That may have been the same truck from earlier that just went by again. I think I can adjust the feet on this desk, maybe, to help level it out, but I've already got all my shit on it. So I don't think that's really gonna help me at this point. Alright, I think we're gonna turn our mat now. We haven't turned it since we got started here. So, if you just joined us, we are needle felting along with Bob Ross. I've seen many people follow along with different added challenges with, oil painting along with him, where they are doing it without seeing the video, only listening to him. Doing it with certain colored lights on so they can't see what shade the paint actually is that they are grabbing, and they had somebody else put it on the palette, so they're like, I have no idea what colors these are. I've seen some people follow along with frosting. I've seen some people try to follow along with acrylic paint instead. And we've done the following along with the oil paint a couple of times. We've different seasons. We have started a project that we haven't revisited, but I think we're going to soon-ish. Where we were following along with gouache, which is kind of a bit more challenging to figure out how you're gonna pull that shit off. And you know, I'd never seen anybody follow along with needle felting. You know what might also be fun? If somebody tried to follow along with needlepoint, that might be fascinating. I think I did needlepoint once in my life, and I was not a fan. My grandfather loved to do it. He had so many kits. Seemed like when he was well enough before he got real sick, whenever I was over there, he was constantly working on something. Sitting in his chair. He had all kinds of cardboard with slices cut into them. His different colored threads or yarns or whatever the hell he was using for it. That came with his kit. I don't know whatever happened to them all. I don't know if they gave them away. Because I know it seemed like he was always working on something. But I don't really remember seeing them around the house now that I think about it. So I don't know. That's fascinating. I know my uncle at one point was kind of following along with the Bob Rossi things. I don't know if he kept up with that or not. Alright, so yeah, I decided to, you know what, let's try needle felting along with Bob. The tutorial to this episode, or the tutorial for this one, is pinned in the chat, rather. So if anybody wants to go see it in full, without interruption, without sound on it, that is what is pinned. We are just getting started. We did our sketch of this guy on Monday, or our reference sketch. That's what he looked like. Just real rough, just kind of an idea of where placement would go. And then we used that sketch to figure out where we were going to place our main shapes that we're going to make this up. So we've got our river in here, got our little island here, we've got the little shrubbies here, we've got the one set of trees here, the other set of trees are going to be back here. The only thing we did not put in place ahead of time were our clouds. We'll figure those out as we go. Didn't really think we needed to sketch those out ahead of time because they're clouds. Clouds are going to do what clouds are going to do. So we'll just get our sky filled in here. These are finger protectors to keep me from hurting myself too badly if I should miss and accidentally hit my finger. I will hit these instead, or I'll hit the corner. Now you can still poke through these, don't get me wrong, you can. I've done it, it's possible. But they will keep any potential injury to be a bit less than if you hadn't had them on. Because there are barbs on these needles, little notchy-doos cut into the sides of them, that help grab your fiber when you're going down, and then when you come up it releases off the needle, and it's kind of just mushing all of your layers of colors of fiber together. And we are sideways at the moment, so I can see my side edge a little bit easier. This time we are using a standard classic thickness, thinness, however you want to look at it, of craft felt, and I'm already missing that thicker one. I'm already having regrets about not grabbing some more. I'm like, oh. I went with that thicker one, and yeah, my arm didn't get as tired, but I miss it. I feel like it did help. I've got some tape on the edges of our craft felt, just to try to help me keep our sides a little bit straight. It kind of helped a bit on the piece we did last, on that thicker bit of felt, so we'll see how this goes. And I am using acrylic yarn instead of roving. Roving is going to be your traditional material for needle felting. Some people can't use roving though if they have a wool allergy, because traditionally wool. I found out that you could use the acrylic yarn, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is the way we're gonna go. It comes in so many colors, which benefits us because, you know, you can't mix colors at the drop of a dime with this stuff like you can with paint. I'm sure you can mix other colors together to try to get a different color, but then when we go to stab through it, all the strands will, you know, they won't really be as blended as they would have been if it was paint. But it's also more budget friendly for me to do the acrylic yarn, because the roving gets kind of pricey, and with the amount that I need, because this is approximately 8 by 10, our inner working area. The felt square itself is 9 by 12-ish, according to the label, and we're working in an 8 by 10 area. Now, when I get done our needle felting projects, because they take a little bit of time to do, last one took us 15 sessions. They usually average about 12. The last one was a little more involved though, but I'm not in a huge rush. This is a little bit slower of a medium to work with for me than, say, paint. But I also enjoy it a bit. It's fun to see what you can come up with. And I mean, if you wanted to get real fancy with it, you could use different types of fiber. You could twist the fiber, you could braid it, you could do all sorts of things. You can get kind of 3D with it, where you kind of needle felt your shape and then attach it to your piece. I've seen some people do that. We haven't done that yet. I imagine those projects are pretty time consuming. The only ones I've seen on those are relatively small. Understandably, because it's a lot of work. It might go a little bit faster if you're using the roving, because it likes to stick to itself a little bit better. So I've seen some people say if you're gonna do figurines with the acrylic yarn, try to use like a roving core, just so it sticks to the roving a bit better. Maybe, but I've also used polyfill as an inner core. We have needle felted polyfill. That's an adventure, but it works. You can do it. I used that as the base for the husband's last Christmas present. We're gonna have to get started on his Christmas present. We're gonna start that before December, because waiting until the beginning of December to start that didn't quite work out. We didn't get done. It took us the entire month of really pushing. But that was my fault. I got started on the other gifts a little bit late. I honestly don't even remember what the other gifts were at this point. My mom got a chicken. Like a line art rooster. I don't remember what I did for the mother-in-law and her sister last year. I really don't. Oh shit. I'm gonna have to go back and look at videos. I feel like we did something. I would have had to have. I just don't remember what. Because it wouldn't have been just a store-bought gift. Because we didn't have the money to do store-bought gifts this past Christmas. Yeah, I don't remember. Oh, I made them ornaments. That's right. They each got like snowman head ornaments. They each got 2 ornaments. I don't remember what the second one was. They were just tiny little things though, because I didn't have a whole lot of time. Bless you. I'm not sure what cat that was, but somebody sneezed. It looks like it might have been cow. So yes, we are using acrylic yarn. Now the acrylic yarn does take a little bit of prepping, because, you know, right off the shelf in the store it's all twisted into its its main strand. Its little strands are twisted into a bigger strand. So I'm sure it starts out like this or something similar, and then they twist it into its little string, and then we take chunks of it, smaller lengths, because the smaller lengths are easier to work with and are least likely to get tangled. And we take a pet grooming brush called a sticker brush, I believe. Sticker, slicker, one of those. It's got these angry metal teeth on it that are bent at an angle where if you touch it, it hurts your skin. At least for me it does. It's the brushes that they use to help get the undercoat off of the double-coated dogs. And you just you brush your yarn strands that you snipped into a more workable length off of the main ball or skein of yarn, however you want to look at it. I think the official term is skeins. And I store them in a Ziploc bag. I don't have the entire ball fluffed. I just fill a small Ziploc bag as much as I can get away with. Was that a bird or was that Momo? My husband has his earphones on. He didn't hear. I'm not sure. I'm hearing a doggy move around behind me. But I don't know who it is. I think it's Momo. You have a Momo. Husband? Russell?
Yeah, I got
Oh, I didn't know if you heard me. You didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know, you little bugger.
He can't help it. He's having a rough day. Sorry, I didn't know you heard me.
I'll have to go tomorrow to the vet to get more of that stuff.
The proper one?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if this is having the same effect.
I don't think it is. The vet had told us we could do the weight management food as well if he was being trouble about eating the urinary tract food, and we don't think it's having the same effect. Pupper's having crystal problems, so he's having some difficulty peeing still. We just can't get rid of them. Like, it seems like he starts to improve and then he doesn't. It seems to be cycling. We're doing our damnedest to make sure he's not getting into any other food. Like, we're trying to pull his brother's crunchies up off the floor. His brother's getting different food. We haven't been giving him any extras. No treats, which he's real mad about. Because he always used to get treats. Like a tiny piece of cheese or like a piece of chicken that we boiled for them. That we kept in the freezer. So he's real big mad about that. So did he?
Pretty good this time.
Did he? Okay.
I think you might just missed it.
Yeah, I don't know, because he was training really hard. Unless he finally managed to get enough pressure to pass something that time. Melfies, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Yeah, so we've had him on prescription urinary tract food for a while. He won't eat the once a day little treats that the vet gave us to try. They smell pretty terrible, to be perfectly honest. They smell like a mixture of like meat and cranberry, but they're really hard, and he won't eat stuff that's real hard. Like, they feel like rubbery, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I wouldn't fucking eat this. Like, the other dog wouldn't even consider eating it either, so I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm not gonna force it down his throat. This poor dog. We finally sort of got his back issues under control, and then we fought with that bladder infection for forever. Hey, Zorts. Thanks for the resub. Appreciate that. So how is everybody today? On this Sunday afternoon, we are starting to follow along with the last tutorial in this season of Bob Ross's Joy of Painting. So how you doing, sir? You off today? Or is it a work day? Alright, you don't have to brush down the back. I just do. I find it makes the front lay down a little bit flatter. Work tonight? Gotcha. See, it looks like we're going out a little bit, but maybe not. See, look how bunchy we are, because we're pulling all the fibers in. So, sorry we are sideways at the moment. It's easier for me to see what I'm doing when we're at this stage of the game. How you been? How are things? What have you been up to? Just working and sleeping? Did you get any more work done on your bloodthirsty? Or just haven't had time? Oh, if your sub's still current, you need to go in on that character and pull all the gear off, because the title of the podcast yesterday was Time to Strip, so I think the expansion might be getting ready to drop, or a patch. Okay. I haven't been following that closely along, and I haven't logged into the launcher recently because Russell and I managed to complete the season requirements for season 4 in Diablo 4. And so as soon as we got that earlier this week, I'm like, okay, now I can take a break from this. Russell's like, well, what are you gonna do in the meantime? And I'm like, I've got things to do. He goes, yeah, but what? I said, I've got editing backlogged that I need to get cracking on. I've got painting I need to get recorded. I've got stuff to do that I kind of shuffled to the back burner. I need to work out a pattern for our next Saturday painting project, because I think we'll be done the flamingos next week. Have friends trying to drag you into Final Fantasy 14 and GTARP? What is that? And 100 other things, and you need a clone to send to work for you. You did miss Pandaria and the completely open world. Yeah, I haven't played WoW in quite a while. Probably a year and a half-ish. Life got crazy. And I wasn't sure if A, I was going to have to go back to work. B, our budget was getting super, super tight. And at the time, I didn't know how hands-on we were going to have to be with my dad. And I was just kind of burnt out. I've been doing it for a while. I got every class in the game to max level as a bloodthirsty right before Dragonflight hit. And then Dragonflight introduced dragon riding, and it gives me a migraine within like 30 seconds to a minute of attempting to do it. The graphics on it war against the way I process things, and instant migraines. I tried several different occasions in case it was just the day, and no. And I tried to push through as much as I could on just a ground mount, but I like to complete the quest line for the expansion alongside working on my WoW Challenges characters, and I couldn't do that. So I hung in there long enough to farm enough money to buy Diablo 4, and then I just kind of walked away. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. However, Grand Theft Auto roleplay?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Is it? I didn't know that. I hadn't heard of that yet.
Yeah, no, you can find servers where people roleplay.
Huh.
And in some cases it's hilarious because I've seen like where there's people roleplaying being a taxi driver and they just drive a fucking taxi.
That sounds boring to an extent, but
I don't know.
Do people actually get into their taxis?
I don't know if you physically can without friending them or something.
Okay.
I've never gotten that deep into it.
Okay.
Yep. So wait.
Wow.
Okay, now here's the question. What do you do on that server, Zorts?
I don't think he started it yet. He just said people were trying to get him into it.
Misread.
Yeah. I could see Zorts doing a taxi driver. I totally could. But I could also see him doing some other things too. I'm kind of, there's some, this fall is going to be so tough because, you did some Red Dead 2 RP for a while and became a lumberjack. This fall, there's so much stuff supposedly gonna launch. There's another farming sim that's supposed to come out either third or fourth quarter. That I'm interested in seeing if you can remap the keys so I can play it. Called Sugar. Sugar Dew? Hang on. I don't want to butcher this. It's on my wish list. Sugar Dew Island. Okay. That looks interesting. I know it's another farming sim, but those are kind of my speed right now. There's also... That doesn't have a release date yet on it. We'll see if it actually goes live. Coral Island is working on their multiplayer that supposedly will be happening on the next update. I don't know when that next patch is. No problem. And then Planet Coaster announced Planet Coaster 2 coming out with water parks. And I'm like, huh. And they're adding the ability to share saves with your friends so your friends can come in and build. And that looks interesting. The husband and I might pick up a copy of that. We have original Planet Coaster. I don't remember if I streamed playing any of it. I may not have. I might have maybe once or twice. I know we did a lot of Parkitect for a while there. I don't remember if we streamed any Planet Coaster. So Planet Coaster 2 looks fascinating. And I'm still keeping busy with, I lost my pen line there. And I'm still keeping busy with Planet Zoo. But now we're like, are they gonna announce a Planet Zoo 2? Maybe with more aquatic animals? Maybe? That would be fun. But yeah, I haven't really played WoW in a while, so I'm sorry to those that had joined just for the WoW content. But I got super burnt out. But now, and then we've got the new Diablo, the new Diablo coming out this fall too. The next part of Diablo 4. And I'm kind of mad because I'm like, well, gee, I'm not playing WoW anymore, so now I'm actually going to have to pay for this one. Because the last Diablo, I just farmed for materials that I sold on Auction House and then bought tokens and converted them into WoW gift cards, basically. And just bought Diablo 4 that way. But I'm not going to be able to do that this time around. Because I don't have an active WoW sub, and I don't know that you can put anything on Auction House when you're on the free account. I don't think you can. Could be wrong about that. So you can kind of see our one mountain shape kind of evolving on the back there. So we'll see. I've got some stuff. I wanted to play, or try to play, Sugar Plum Grove, I think was what it was called. But I don't know if they've ever remapped the keys yet. Nobody's mentioned it. There was mentions of, hey, are you gonna make the keys remappable? And them responding with, yeah, it's our plan to have it in the next update. And then that was 2 years ago, and then I saw another post from like, I don't know, 3 months ago that was like, hey, are you gonna add the ability to remap the keys? And I'm like, they never put it in. And they're like, yeah, we're planning to do that on the next update. And I'm like, you never... This post was from 2 years ago, and this post was from like April. Like this past April, and you still haven't? So I'm not sure if I'm gonna waste my time on it, because it sounds like they never did it. And I'm like, well, I mean, I kind of need the arrow keys. The way my brain processes stuff, I can't process using ASDW very quickly, and I get them confused as to what goes where. And my hand gets mad about being stretched out against those many keys. So, my brain's like, oh, S, let's hit this key, and that's not S. So, yeah. Or it says W, and I'll hit D. And it just adds a layer of frustration I don't need. And I'm playing a game to chill. Uh-oh. Oh, still in my hand. I thought I dropped it. So I just have some water in the little lid of the water bottle. It was a water bottle we drank from, and then I just saved it and refilled it with tap water. To do this. Okay. So you can see how we're kind of like bunched up down here, and you can see and hear what I was talking about earlier. It's kind of getting a little bit baggy, like a baggy shirt. Because we haven't filled in this section yet. So I know we're still sideways, but again, I kind of need to be able to see my top edge here a little bit more clearly. So that's what we're gonna do. I think my favorite expansion was Wrath of the Lich King. I liked Burning Crusade. That's when I first started playing. My husband thinks it was shortly after Burning Crusade launched. He started playing in vanilla, so it would have had to have been like towards the end of vanilla. And just as Burning Crusade was starting for me. And I kind of liked Burning Crusade to a point. I liked when we had more time in between the expansions, when there was so much to do and leveling took so much longer. I liked having that extra time to do the rep farming, and because my ass was working, so I didn't have that much time to devote, and at that time we were sharing one computer, so it was just easier. And now they're like turning them out. I think I would rather have an X-Pack that took longer to come out, but the storyline was better and more thought out and like really proofread, and no weird grammar issues or typos going on in the quest text, than having content be put out like every year and have it be shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make sense. But I'll tell you, I've never seen so many typos in quest text as I did in Dragonflight. It hurt my brain. Because I was trying to, at the time I was still heavily affiliated with WoW Challenges, and one of the mods for there, I did a lot of stuff for their website, wrote the holiday articles and people's max level achievement articles and stuff, and I was helping test for the new expansion, and when I was helping Lita test, I know it was in beta, but there was a lot of quest text typos. And then even after beta, and I was trying to quest where I could without using the dragon mount, shit was still not right. I'm like, people, did like nobody proofread this? Like, is there a comma missing here, or a period, or is there too many words in the sentence, not the right words? Like, who wrote this? It was just infuriating, and I don't know if I was seeing it more because of how my brain processes stuff. I have to read things a little bit slower, and it was a mess. Like, I'm trying to read it because I am dyslexic, and I like to flip word placement. I'll like take the back half of a sentence and like stick it in the middle or more towards the front sometimes, so I have to really focus to make sure I'm reading word for word in order to make it make sense. And then I'd be sitting there reading it and I'm like, the fuck? I would have to try to copy the text and send it to the husband, or make him come over to my computer screen. I'm like, can you read this? And he's like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, thank you. I thought it was me. Like, I thought I was having a severe processing moment, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just read? I was like, it doesn't make sense, right? Like, my brain keeps trying to flip it this way to make it make sense. He goes, no, that doesn't make sense. I was like, I don't know. It was horrible. It wasn't every quest, but it happened more often than it should have for a big gaming company, with the amount of people they had working on the project. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So yeah, I'd rather have quests that make sense and flow, and have expansions take longer to come out than have stuff going on that I'm like, what? So I definitely prefer the longer time in between to get it done right. But that's just me. So you guys will have to tell me if you want me to pursue or look at doing other seasons following along with needle felting of Bob Ross's down the road. We're gonna take a small break from following along with Bob when we're done with this one, and I think we're gonna make a flamingo statue, a flamingo figurine, as sort of a palette cleanser in between. And then I think there's a piece or two I want to do on my own with some reference photos I've got. And then we'll have to figure out what we want to do from there. We can jump around. It doesn't have to be the very next season. Trying to remember what seasons we followed along with while painting, and I don't remember. We're gonna have to get started on Christmas gifts probably relatively soon after returning from our vacation to make sure I have them done in time. Because if we work on them on stream, unless we do some bonus streams throughout the week, I'm gonna need the time. We don't have to do those on stream, but they might end up getting done on stream. We'll have to see how that goes. I got some paint markers. I don't know how good they are. I only tried them for a quick minute on a piece of plastic, and it was okay. Could have been better. I didn't really get them to do them on the piece of plastic, though. I was just seeing it said they could go on plastic, so I was like, well, let's see. Wasn't real impressed with that. But, you know, we'll, figure that out. Alright, we've got a thin spot there. Didn't get really covered that well yet. So we'll start to get that laid in there. Now this top edge, I'm not too worried about it not being right on the line, because we are going to have our dowel up there as our hanger. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Coral Islands multiplayer coming out. We'll have to get a copy for the husband, but he said he'd be willing to try that multiplayer, since Stardew Valley, for some reason, we don't know if it was the zoomed in bit or what, but I used to play it all the time, and for some reason the last time I tried to play it, it felt overly pixely, and it started to give me a headache after about a half an hour, and I'm like, ugh, why? I used to play this all the time. Why are you giving me a headache now? So I don't know what that deal was. Which is sad, because I used to enjoy dicking around in there and playing that, but you know, shit happens. So that's why we haven't been playing that lately. It might have been the distance that I was zoomed at, because there was also a weird lighting blinking happening at the same time. And I don't think I went back to try it again after the husband figured out what was happening. Because we messed with settings like crazy. And couldn't really seem to figure out what the problem was. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Coral Island. I went to go play my off-stream game that I had going the other night, and it had been such a long time since I had been in there, I couldn't remember what the hell I was doing. And I felt really lost, and I'm like, I don't understand what the hell I was doing. So, okay. Like, my farm layout was a little different than the one I've got going on stream. And I just really felt super lost. And I was like, you know what? If we do this, I think I'm gonna, if we go back to playing this off stream, I think I'm gonna have to start over again. So we've kind of got our mountain shapes filling in there a little bit, like coming to life a bit, with our sky filling into the background. Now, for those that are new here, we needle felt on Sunday and Monday, of some description usually. I do suggest that you have your notifications turned on here to know when we go live, or you can follow the X Twitter account if you're brave enough to have an account over there. I usually post there as well, and I also post in Zortz's Discord when we go live. I don't have my own Discord set up yet because the community just wasn't quite big enough and active enough to start one yet. But if the community does get big enough and active enough, sure, we'll do that. I'm not opposed to it, I just didn't really have the people to warrant having one going at the moment. I managed to, I've got 4 painting sessions, or 4 paintings that I need to edit. How was that?
Me knocking over something, sorry.
Oh. I want to make sure the cats weren't getting into anything. So I've got 4 paintings that I need to get the videos edited on. Those will go up while we're away. I haven't posted them yet on purpose. A, I haven't gotten around to editing them yet, but B, I'm saving those for September. We do have to cancel stream on occasion. I try not to, but you know, life does happen. And I will usually post on Twitter, X, whatever the fuck it is now, the burning cesspool of fire, I guess, would be an apt description as well. I post on there when we have to cancel too. Sometimes I do run late. If life happened and we had to go take care of something before stream time, sometimes we run a little late getting back. Alright, I'm gonna take this little tail up this way. Because we're gonna have some other sky covering up that bit there. So that'll be fine. Alright. So we've got this guy here. This guy's a little bit smaller, and that's fine. We haven't quite defined him yet, on the back side at least. So husband is working on editing episode 10 still. We've been busy. I haven't forgotten about it. He hasn't forgotten about it. He is working through it. I'm working on episode 11. I haven't started 12 yet. I'm almost done 11. I'm just started the 10th live stream out of 12 on episode 11 last night. I'll try to get some more video editing done tonight. We'll see though. We have game night with my mom, so it kind of depends on how long that goes on for. It probably won't be too long. Like, it's mostly just Uno and Scrabble. We had gotten Clue. I don't think I've ever played Clue. Husband was gonna, he's played it. He was gonna teach us it. But whenever we try to teach my mom a new board game, she gets mad. She's like, what is this? We tried to teach her how to play Settlers of Catan, I think, with all like the hexagon shapes and stuff, and she's like, I don't understand this. So she got mad about it. She played through the one session. She's like, I don't like this. And we're like, okay. We tried to, Russell and I had a copy of Exploding Kittens. And we had Exploding Kittens. We tried to teach her that. And I guess we did not have the clean version of Exploding Kittens for the art on the cards. And I had forgotten that the art was quite like that until we started playing. And her reaction just had us dying the whole time. She goes, what on earth? Russell's like, look at the card. I think he remembered and I didn't. And she's like, oh my god. So we can't play Exploding Kittens with her anymore. I was like, we could get Cards Against Humanity, and Russell's like, no, she's not gonna like that. And besides, you're gonna need more than 3 people for that one to really have a good go of it. He goes, that's more of a bigger group game. I was like, fine. What else did we have? We got Tetris, the board game. That was kind of fun. I liked that, but she had trouble seeing it. So I didn't mind that. It was a little difficult to see though. Especially with someone that has trouble seeing things. Sorry, that looked a little funky in there, so I'm just gonna fill this in. Again, we'll do another pass. Because we can. Looked a little thin in the one spot. Now I'll probably end up grabbing like the edges and pulling them out a little bit further on the mountain color when we get there. I have Bear and Breakfast. We haven't played that on stream, and I haven't played it in a while. And I kind of want to. I just don't have a day that I can really play it. So, I haven't quite worked out when we would do that. It's a cute game. I haven't completed the game. I don't know if there really is like a full end to it. I do enjoy it though. We might stream that some night. Or some afternoon. Potentially. husband needed a specific day to nerd with one of our friends, because they would do stuff. The one day specifically, they were doing D&D together, but his schedule's been kind of up in the air when he went back to school. They were still trying to make it work around his class schedule, and then the group they had going kind of got life busy. So now it's kind of just whenever. Sometimes it's late night Tuesday. Sometimes it's on Wednesday nights. I mean, I might still be able to do stuff in the afternoon. Potentially. We'll have to see. Maybe if the mood strikes me and I don't have a lot of extra happening every so often, we can try to squeeze in some time for bear and breakfast. I usually use Tuesday and Wednesday as my reset days, like trying to get stuff caught up around the house that kind of just got pushed off to the side, like laundry or dishes or extra editing or scheduling stuff that needs to go up on YouTube, like the live stream archives, because I'm real bad about doing that. I had to designate. Sorry, motorcycle going by. Apologies. Our house is not exactly soundproof and we live on a very busy road. And that I can't really do anything about, because the room we're in, the ceiling's pretty tall. It's not really vaulted, but it's tall. And the walls are plaster. We don't really have a door on our room. So getting the soundproof squares to try to dampen. Thank you, motorcycle. To try to dampen that down. Really wouldn't work too well with our current location. In a couple of years we might be moving. Potentially. But I have no idea when that specifically might be. That depends on a few different things. That I have no way of knowing when they would happen. So, for now, this is where we're at. Whether we want to be or not. Because my mom is silly. At times about some things, so but let's see what happens. Time's just moving right along today. Twitch always thinks my connection's unstable. I don't know why. There's other times where it's like, oh, you're good. On a Sunday of all things, it's like, your connection's unstable. Like, okay, sure. But OBS is like, no, you're good. So, I don't know. I'm glad we were able to replace the rug, though. This floor is all sorts of fucked, though. We've got, like, tape residue stuck to it. It was, like, one of those, like, stick together, like, snap together, vinyl floor plank thingies. However, it must not have been a very good one, because the dogs, like, dripped water when they were getting a drink, and just a couple drops of water for, like, maybe a half an hour before we noticed it started to make the vinyl whatever on it bubble, and I was like, seriously? Okay. And then we had to tape down another rug because it kept shifting, because it wasn't completely underneath of my desk at the time, and then that tape residue was a mess. I think we're gonna have to get some Goo Gone to try to get some of the residue off of this floor whenever we do go to sell this house. But this floor, quite the mess. Like, I don't mind small area rugs that you can replace and things, or even take outside and power wash. Try to shampoo them. Like, that's fine. Rugs are a pain in the ass when you've got pets, though. But Momo kept slipping, so we had to put an extra area rug down in front of his bed on this particular floor. And that's fine. Like, I don't, like, I love sirens. The hell? That was the popo. Busy day on this street. My goodness. The fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, like, I love, like, the squishy plush carpets in between my toes. Like, I love to, like, grab them with my toes and, like, just sink my feet into them. But when you've got pets, that's not quite a happy thing, especially as your pets get older and they have problems, or cats with hairballs and stuff. I would much rather mop than shampoo a floor. To be perfectly honest, mopping, you scrub it and you're done. Oh, I hear some more sirens. Something's going on. Something's going on in small town Farmville. What's happening? Oh shit. That sounds like fire engine or fire rescue. See, Popo. Maybe it was an accident. Because that just went the same direction that the police car kind of drove off in. I hope everybody's okay. We've got this one road that links up to the bypass that goes around our town. The speed limit varies quite a lot there, and there's a traffic light in the middle. There's a couple traffic lights in the middle of it. And they don't really have the speed limit posted so well. Like, a small section is 45, and then I think it goes up to 50, maybe 55, and then it drops back down to 45, and I think they do it on purpose. They can try to speed trap people. But, there's a light that has a straight across each way and then a turn on one side of it. And the turny people seem to think that they get to go before the straight across-y people because they don't have an arrow. And people don't know how to drive that. So there's constantly accidents at that one light. Either that or somebody was doing 80 and hit somebody when the light changed. Because the cops have posted photos of their radar guns tracking people going through there, and we're like, y'all need to slow down. Oh shit, more sirens. What's going on? Shit's going down here today. What on earth? That's more fire trucks. Wow. Wow. Something happened. Maybe it's a fire. Well then. Well, like I said earlier, hopefully everybody's okay. Wow. At least it's not the police chase that went through town the one time. I'll tell you, we had such an incident in this town one time. For like over an hour, we kept hearing sirens just constantly rolling into town and through town, and we're like, what the fuck is going on? Alright, you have a good night, sir. I'll talk to you later. Stay safe at work. Behave. Don't get fired. Just holy cow. And it turned out there was it was a domestic issue that like turned into a hostage situation or something, and then an officer got shot, and it was like, oh damn. It was like quite the thing that happened that night. I think there was police and stuff responding from like over a half an hour away for mutual aid. It was wild. Alright. Well, today's time just flew by. And we're maybe halfway done with our background of our sky. So tomorrow, our goal is to finish getting our sky put in. And if we have time, we will work on getting our clouds put in, if we have time. See, like, we're already bowing out. I think the thicker felt helped, to be perfectly honest. Because this doesn't seem to be doing very much on the thinner felt. Wild. Okay, so I know we've got our little weird triangle shapes there for our mountains. They'll make more sense as we get closer to it. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's a process. But yeah, not too bad today. We managed to get everything sketched in. And, you know, we'll see where things take us. We'll be back tomorrow working on this guy. I usually try to start by 2 p.m. Central at the latest. Lately, I've been starting around 1 p.m. Central. So I start early when I'm able to. We'll see how that works out tomorrow. Today I didn't get up till noon because of the storms last night and just the way sleep went. So thank you guys for popping in. Zorts, have a good night at work. I'm sure you've already left. Everybody have a good night. Have a good start to your week. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon for some more work on this guy. There's links to socially things down below. So don't forget to check those out. Those will take you to the X Twitter, the Instagram, the Ko-fi, and the YouTube channel. We try to archive just about all of the live streams over there. And you'll find some stuff that wasn't live streamed from time to time pop up over there as well. And most things are on their respective playlists. So if it's needle felting, there's a needle felting playlist. If it's painting, there's a painting playlist, and so forth and so on. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, have a good one.